Peace, family. Let's work. I come to you today to talk about a very, very serious subject matter. My heart is very heavy, and I want to do my best to try to communicate this as well as I can. Your Attorney General, Jefferson Beauregard Sessions, wrote a memo recently to federal prosecutors all throughout the nation, taking the quote-unquote handcuffs off of them when it comes to mandatory minimum sentencing, even for non-violent offenses. Now, for those of you who know the history of mandatory minimums, this thing actually started with Nixon, but was taken to higher levels, to the highest level, by your good friend, Bill Clinton, when he enacted the Omnibus Crime Bill, the 3 strikes law that made it 100-to-1 in sentencing disparity between crack cocaine and powder cocaine, disproportionately impacting and affecting black and brown men and women. These unjust, unfair, ineffective mandatory minimum tactics destroyed just as many families as the drugs themselves. When a man has a substance abuse problem and he's caught with the substance that he abuses on several occasions, but he's giving a murderer's sentence, then what you do is you leave a son fatherless, you leave a wife husbandless, you leave a family without one who could have been a breadwinner if he only had gotten the help that he needed. That son oftentimes turns to a life of crime because he may or may not have any guidance, and he ends up becoming the subject of the same draconian sentencing that struck his father. Sometimes they would even end up in the same prison, in the same cell. Clinton sold this to us in the 90s, and Hillary Clinton, good old Hillary, came before the world and she applauded these mandatory minimums, claiming that they were an effective way to deal with those whom she called super predators. The private prisons and those who owned it, they made a mint off of our free labor. Communities were destroyed. Families were destroyed. And even Republican conservatives have had to admit that these mandatory minimums were ineffective in the reduction of crime. They didn't make things better. As a matter of fact, they made things worse. The brother Barack Obama, under Attorney General Eric Holder, reduced the sentencing from 100-to-1 in disparity down to 18-to-1 in disparity. There was still a disparity, but it was lessened. And the one thing that I can say that Barack Obama did that was beyond honorable is Barack Obama pardoned and commuted almost 2,000 people before he left office, because these were people who went to jail under this sentencing structure, and these were folks who were non-violent offenders languishing in jail, given what we call in the hood football numbers, in order to satisfy the quotas of these private prisons. When Donald Trump was elected, I jokingly called him Ronald Trump, because I knew that he was creating an atmosphere that would bring back the ironclad, unjust regime of Ronald Reagan in the 80s. Brothers and sisters, we are there now. we are there. And the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, is not playing. Now, let's talk about this Jeff Sessions guy. His real name is Jefferson Beauregard Sessions the third. He was named after Jefferson Davis, a racist. And his middle name, Beauregard, is a name that he carries where his parents named him after a general by the name of General Beauregard. I may be mispronouncing the name, but this is the fella that helped to craft the design for the Confederate flag. So he has hatred for black people, brown people, poor people. He's got that hatred in his blood. It's all in his genetic makeup. And he's looking to return to what was in the 80s and the 90s, mass incarceration. Now, America locks up more people than any other country on the planet. She is the prison capital of the world already. But with what he's setting in place, you know, our brother Future, he's a rap artist. He's got a song called Mask Off. Well, brothers and sisters, the mask of civility is off. And they're going for the jugular. So you've got about 30 prosecutors who have written Mr. Sessions saying that they don't want to be involved with these mandatory minimums. But that's not going to matter when it's all said and done. The agenda of Ronald Reagan is in effect. So I want to send a message to my community and other communities who have gotten to the point where through our music we glorify being a junkie. The song that I just got through talking about by Future, he talks about Molly, weed, and Percocets. These are drugs that can destroy your life. And not only will they destroy your life, they about to be handing out some real heavy time. So mandatory minimums are back. What we faced in the past, we now face in the present. My message to young brothers and sisters out there is very clear. The dope game is over. It's over. It's over. From this point on, anybody seen standing out on the corner pumping poison in the community for a profit is considered a crash dummy. There are other options out there for you. And it's time that our community start doing a better job at educating these young brothers on the options that are available. Because if you touch that dope and you start serving it in the hood at this day and time, at this period in history, you will go to jail for a long time. And I know what many of you are saying. Many of you are saying, Brother Deric, I can't go and work at McDonald's. I can't go and work at the railroad. I can't go and work for one of these companies. I ain't trying to go and work for nobody. I got to work for myself, so I got to slang this dope. Let me tell you something. If you don't put the dope down and you get locked up under these mandatory minimums, the same company that you're saying you can't work for in the free world, you're going to end up working for them anyway. Except you won't be making a dime. Modern day slavery is about to be taken to the next level. So the best way for us to combat this is to leave the dope game alone. The best way for us to combat this is to gather our lawyers, gather our black judges, gather our legislators, and see what we can do to fight back. The best way to fight this is to take to the streets, to let these people know that you're coming after our youth. But this time, you can't have them, at least not without a fight. So Jeff Sessions has drawn a line in the sand. And my message to the community, it's time for us to draw one too. Stay woke, brothers and sisters. Stay woke.